Hello, welcome to another edition of Damage Per Podcast. I am your host, Alan Wake, and joining me today is Jack, J- Jack,
Jack Joyce.
Jack Joy, William Joyce, William, Jack Joy. Yeah, Sean Ashmore's in the studio this morning as Jack
Iceman.
Iceman.
It's,
Yeah. The X-Men himself,
uh,
Sean Ashmore is here. How we doing, Sean?
I we're doing great,
Good. Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah. hmm
We're doing our best to avoid the flu down here as
Oh yeah,
the
the norovirus or what do we got going on?
well, it's just speaking to the weather, the temperatures in the area where, on any given day we could do all four seasons. And also we go from building a snowman one Wednesday to it being 80 degrees the next Wednesday to now it being back in the 20s. So who knows I mean, the planet's probably going to crack in half.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, listen, this
we
is
don't have to worry about time coming to an end because the planet's going to just fucking crack open. So it's not going to matter.
we're not gonna have to worry about time loops that
No.
crazy scientists make and corporations control because the Earth is just gonna riot
Yeah,
we're gonna sneeze us off like a bad cold.
exactly.
Um,
So I'm freezing right now, which so the Iceman title is apt. But
yeah,
the other day I was wearing basketball shorts and had fans going. So who knows? It's
I forgot that Sean Ashmore was also in Frozen,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which is a movie I
But
like.
there's two of them, and I get them mixed up as to exact because they look alike. So like I forget which one was in this and which one was in that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and by Frozen I mean the Adam Green film, not the
Yeah, 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 yeah.
not the Disney.
Man,
I
that was
mean,
one of my like most popular jokes on Instagram of all time. Because like when Frozen was like a thing, and I had Katie was little, but thankfully she had her big brother to look up to and had no interest at all in Frozen. So I've still never seen it,
uh-huh.
but I had like I took a picture of my DVD of Adam Green's Frozen, and I was like, kids wanted to watch Frozen tonight, and then like that popped off for me on Instagram.
Oh my goodness.
You know, dumb
Yeah,
dad jokes.
yeah, I got some dad jokes in the in the chamber here. Oh yeah,
Hmm.
so Sean Ashmore's twin brother is Aaron Ashmore, and he tends to be in a little more, let's just say, a little more direct to video kind of movies.
Hmm.
But
Yes, right.
good for the Ashmore twins making that money.
Oh, I didn't know they were twins. That's crazy. I just thought they
Yeah, yeah,
looked.
they're
I just thought
twins.
they
Yeah,
looked
sorry,
alike.
yeah, they're twins. But Sean's the one who gets the better billing for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So there you go.
Anyway.
Welcome to the Ashmore podcast. Which it's funny because I also confused Sean Ashmore with Dominic Monaghan all the time because they're
Mm.
just like very similar white looking dudes. And obviously I know Dominic Monaghan from The Lord of the Rings because he played one of the hobbits,
Yep.
but I still like
Yeah,
in my brain will confuse the two of them. So
he came to the grand opening of the Best Buy in Douglasville when I was living up around Atlanta. It was weird.
that's
He was like
really
signing autographs at a
that's really
Best
wild.
Buy grand opening.
That's really wild. He seems nice. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't
he's all
go.
right.
Like I was there like when he was there, but I didn't like get his autograph because I don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings. But
Yeah.
it
He was
was,
also in another
but they were
X-Men
proud of
movie.
that shit.
I'm sure they were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
in
they were proud of
X-Men
that.
Origins Wolverine.
Really?
Yeah.
Who the fuck was he? I don't remember
He
that.
played Chris Bradley,
Hmm.
formerly known as Bolt and Maverick, is a fictional character.
He
Uh,
played Maverick. Okay, all right.
I mean,
That's
X-Men's Origins Wolverine is,
mm,
it's a movie.
it is a movie. Yep.
They had a script. There was people with cameras. It was a movie.
Yeah.
It existed.
It leaked on the internet
Le
before the
yeah, leaked on
all
the
the
internet.
effects were done.
And then we saw the real thing and still thought it was bad.
And I kind of preferred the not done.
Oh my God. It's so funny. I thought Sean Ashmore played the angel guy in X-Men, but I was wrong.
Mm-mm.
Who played the Angel? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It, this is not the this is
Brett,
not the Ash cast, okay?
this is the Brett Ratner cast.
Ugh,
Ugh.
ugh.
Ah, talk about a dude who definitely needs to go away. I think he did go away though, right? I
Yeah, he
mean, we
did.
don't
Yeah.
hear much from Brett these days.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the last thing he did was Hercules in 2014 with The Rock.
Oof.
Yeah. Oh, he's done some producer stuff up till 2019, but anyway. We're here to talk about the next entry into the Remedyverse, Quantum Break, which is a 2016 video game developed by Remedy and published by Microsoft. Um, so hot off the heels of Alan Wake, we got some Quantum Break. So, Mitch, what's your previous history like with Quantum Break before we decided to come back to this? I think we talked a little bit about this last time, but just
Yeah, just I mentioned it. I remember when it came out and I thought it looked I again like this like following a studio thing is new to me. So I had no idea like it was from, the guys that did Alan Wake or anything like that. I just thought it was like the new Microsoft hotness. It was their like new kind of the exclusive for their Xbox One, which, you know, had been getting memed on pretty hard since that disastrous unveiling press conference.
you must always
But I
be
was like,
connected to the internet, and if you're not,
yeah,
just get an Xbox 360, you poor fuck.
well, yeah, right. And also like, oh, did you want to play games? Look, it does TV. It's like, yeah,
Cool,
got it.
man. Yeah, great. TV does the
So
TV. Thanks.
yeah, yeah, so does my TV. It's so like yeah, I remembered like a lot of like people saying it wasn't good and bitching about it, or this is what Xbox exclusives are gonna be and this and that. And so like I didn't buy it right off the bat, but I feel like it got down to $20 pretty quickly.
hmm
And so I picked it up. I don't remember if it was a GameStop or a Game Exchange or something, but I got it for like super cheap. I installed it and I never played it, and then I uninstalled it. So that was so the literally my introduction to Quantum Break was playing it too early for this podcast
Uh-huh.
because I started it before I was supposed to because
Uh-huh.
I got the order mixed up for the game. So
Yeah,
but I had
it
never played it. I only knew that Sean Ashmore was in it, and I knew that apparently they wanted you to watch TV or show episodes while playing the game, and people bitched about that too. So,
yeah, I think Quantum Break is a unfortunate victim in the Xbox One
hmm
uh forcing us how we're going to enjoy our entertainment
yep,
uh era of Microsoft. where,
yes,
where they came off the hottest, the better of all the, consoles. The Wii obviously outsold the 360, but like I guess
oh
like
yeah,
in terms of like, Microsoft really figured out they were just above Sony in terms of the console situation at that time. And I think coming off of that, they were like just like kind of Sony did with the PS3, they were like, well, we're the hottest shit, so they're like anything we do, they're just gonna
it's
buy.
exactly that. It was crazy how it flip flopped during that like those like 4 years or whatever.
Uh-huh. Because I mean, Sony did the same thing. They had the PS2, best-selling console to date at the
Right?
time. It had a huge game library, just a great system.
Yeah.
Um, and then they come out with the PS3, and they're like, "This is how it's gonna be, guys. All right, we're doing
Right.
we're
Yeah.
doing it this way, and you're gonna like it." And then everyone was like,
Giant crab boss, Ridge Racer,
giant crap.
like
But yeah, no games.
$500. Yeah.
Yeah, $500 for your Blu-ray player that also plays games, kind
Right.
of thing. And anyway, so I mean, a lot of course correction with these companies over time. But
Right.
uh, so I think, yeah, I think they were kind of an unfortunate victim of the Xbox era of like this is like the new age of media, and we are leading it. And you're gonna have your Connect, you're gonna have your live TV, you have to be connected to the internet all the time. I think it was very exhausting. Uh, an exhausting
Which I
era.
love the Connect, by the way. I know people like hated it or whatever. Like again, it's another thing that gets memed on pretty hard. But dude, like I didn't have a Wii
Uh-huh.
until like I got my Wii like a couple of years ago, and I got it just to play Mad World. Like I don't
Mm.
the gimmicky motion control bullshit. Like I knew that was never going to be for me.
Right.
I mean, Wii Sports is yeah, that's probably the only thing I would have done on it, and I wasn't going to spend the money just to play Wii Sports.
Right.
And so the Connect was like it let me get my Wii Sports in without
Mm-hmm.
having to buy a new console. And me and the kids, man, we played the fuck out of the Connect. Like we did the Connect Sports, Connect Sports 2, we did the bowling, we did the golf. Like we would play like every Friday night. We play for hours.
Uh-huh.
So I got my money's worth out of the Connect. I know like again, people don't love it, but there's also some really weird shit on there.
Yeah, they had like that
There's
like armored core on there or something where you had
yeah.
to like move the
Oh yeah.
robot.
There's a oh the Gunstringer. Gunstringer was fucking great.
Yeah,
There's a really, really weird. It didn't come out physically, unfortunately. It may have in Japan, maybe, but it's a
probably.
very Japanese thing.
Mm-hmm.
It we only got it, as a arcade title, or I guess they still call it arcade back then, but a digital title. And like you're a pitcher, like a baseball pitcher, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a horror title, and you throw like fastballs at like demons and shit that are like coming towards you. Man, that shit was so much fun. And like you can like buy upgrade to like different pitches. You can like throw curveballs and like then you can like get upgrades where the ball has fire on it and shit. And like I can't remember the name, but I'll have to look it up. God damn, that was good.
That sounds pretty rad.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
still on my 360. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but I played the fuck out of that too.
and then the Kinect was made widely popular with Paranormal Activity 4. So there you
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
go.
See, you can play your
See?
games. You can
Yep.
hunt for ghosts.
That's right. You can use the infrared to find ghosts moving around. Also, best thing about the Wii though is that it can play GameCube games. So
Yeah.
there's
Yes,
that.
if you get the one that allows you to plug the GameCube controller
Oh,
into it,
right. That's true.
100%. That's
Yeah.
worth it for that too. But
Yeah, because there really isn't like I mean, other than buying a GameCube,
right,
which I don't know how much those things run for these days.
GameCube's has popped off. It's
Yeah.
nobody wanted it when it came out. Now they're expensive. So
Yep, yep. Just like everything else, just hate it, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's actually the best
a lot of
system of
people hated
all.
it back in the day, but I thought it was great. Here's why. Here's my YouTube. Let me make my stupid YouTube face for my thumbnail. Jesus Christ.
You're not allowed to change your opinion on something because it's gone and you missed out on it. All right.
Right.
Anyway, um, no. So yeah. So Quantum Break came out in 2016. I didn't play Quantum Break around 2016. I probably played it like 2 years after the fact,
Mm,
and was playing it and was like, this seems pretty cool and kind of like a little bit all over the place. And like for whatever reason, my attention was diverted, just like yours. I never got
mm.
around to finishing it. Um, but it was fun to boot this back up, and then my old save was immediately right there. But I did start a new game,
Nice.
so.
That's weird. Like that, somebody else commented. I had mentioned on Blue Sky that I was playing it,
Hmm.
and a guy that I've known, just via Xbox, probably for almost 20 years. Uh, he followed me on Blue Sky like recently, and I was like, "Oh, it's Richard." And
Hmm.
then, because like we used to talk about movies and stuff like that a lot, and I didn't know he was on Blue Sky, and so I haven't talked to him in a couple years, but he was like, I probably should finish that. I got all the way to Act 5 and then just never finished. I was like, what the fuck? How did you play this game that's so good and the story is so good and you get to the fuck again, you're like, yeah, I'm good. Like what?
Because and I feel like by the time you get to Act 5, like the story really starts to come together, where you're like,
Yeah. How do
oh,
you how do you not want to know how this ends?
you're like all of a sudden, like at the end where you realize that it's like a loop, and you're like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
this is
Like,
great. Like this is like that moment in Insidious where the dad was banging on the door. You
right.
remember?
Yes.
It
Right.
was, I
Yeah.
know you don't love that movie, but I mean that reminded me of like when they thought the house was haunted, and it turned out it
Hmm.
was just Pat Wilson on the other on the
Yes.
in the other
Yeah.
world
Yeah. Yeah.
banging on the door.
Yeah. I didn't. I never said I didn't. I don't like
You said you
Insidious.
hated it. You said you hate that. You said you hate Pat Wilson. You said you
Oh
hated
no,
James Wan. You said you hated
no. Well, I'm gonna have to make a YouTube video.
Hot
changed.
take. Hot take. Pat
I
Wilson.
hate Blumhouse. I never said I hated Insidious.
I'm just kidding.
I actually thought Insidious was fucking great until halfway through it
Till halfway. Yeah, you don't like
when it turned
the
stupid.
yeah, when it gets to it turns into a fantasy movie basically. Kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's okay. I mean I think that's like that's the big reason why pretty much people kind of fall off on it. I get it.
but I will
Um
say in preparing for this is not the Insidious cast either, but I will say in preparing for the Red Door, I rewatched through,
mhm.
and I had forgotten how those movies are sort of like there's always like a it's like going through like a video game and you get to the final boss. There's always like a final boss demon. It's not the same one. And so there's like the smoker or whatever in the second one, and then there's
Yeah.
the thing, and like shit like that. And I'm like, oh my god, like if you watch them in succession, they work way better than if you watch one and then 2 years later you've forgotten what happened to that one and there's a new one.
Right, right. I like the third one all right. People people don't
Yeah.
like that one as much, but um that's the one where they break that girl's legs over and over.
Mm.
It's
That
so it's
reaction.
so it's so it's so mean. That movie's so mean. It's just
Yeah.
such a mean. They just like really like they just go Linda Blair on her. They just sort of like what if we just
God. Well,
bully this girl
I
for
was gonna
90
say
minutes?
yeah, well, there's a story. I have an Exorcist story there too, but we won't
Oh
get into
my
that.
God. You meet Linda Blair?
Well, no, I've almost a couple of times, and every time she was supposed to come to Atlanta, she canceled, so
Oh, she had to hang
I
out with Rick
didn't get to.
James.
Yeah, yeah. But no, me and my roommate in Atlanta, we it was the whatever anniversary of The Exorcist, and it re-released in theaters, and so we went to see it, and we were rolling, dude, we were cracking the fuck up. It was pissing everybody in the theater off. Like this lady in front of us turned around and like she's like, "Is it really that funny?" And I was like, "Did you hear what she said?" I was like, "Yeah, it's that funny."
It is that funny, okay? Because that's good. That's good. That's good stand up right there. What she's doing.
Right?
She trolls those guys so hard.
So hard. It's so funny. Anyway, like,
So coming hot off the heels of Alan Wake, Remedy was like, we want to make another Alan Wake game. And Microsoft was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's pump the brakes on that. And Remedy was like, oh, okay. This is my interpretation of how these board meetings went down.
yes, please.
Essentially what Microsoft wanted was another brand new spanking IP. They didn't want
Mm,
another Alan Wake because Alan Wake was not at launch was not like the financial success that they had wanted. It did okay, and then over time, it's done very well. But like
mhm,
initially, Microsoft was like, it didn't make like a ton of money for us, you know.
right.
So they're like, but we want, we own your ass, and we want you to now make something because we liked what you did with Alan Wake, but we want you to make something now like another IP that we can make part of the new, the Xbox One brand. We want like a new thing to start the new era of Xbox.
Hmm.
So
Maybe not horror adjacent or something.
maybe
Maybe
not
that was
horror.
part of it.
Yes, there. So they had come. So Remedy had come to the table with like a follow up to Alan Wake that would involve time travel, which makes a
Mm,
lot of sense, kind of given the nature of Alan Wake and it's,
yeah.
moving around universes and time and rewriting things and stuff. So like it kind of like makes sense. Um but Microsoft was like, we love the time idea, make it a different IP. And then that's where they kind of they just developed this whole new story about this sort of time travel loop with these brothers and then, of course, Microsoft was like, we really want to shove this live TV aspect into the game. We'll give you a butt ton of money to get these actors, and you can do these like half half real people have video game crossover thing. Which at the time was like really ambitious and kind of wild and probably something most people were like, just give us a video game. But like, I don't know, like all these
Right.
years later, I kind of find it pretty fascinating as like this artifice of like
I
2016, you
yeah,
know?
right.
Like it's a like it I feel like it works better now for me than it would have in 2016 because there's a charm to the live action like like I don't know, they're like
Mm.
20-minute episodes
Yeah.
that they like shove in there
Yeah. I
between acts.
I love it. Like I text you this, like, or maybe I said it on Blues. I can't remember, but the initially I was like, I'm just gonna play the game. I'm not gonna watch the show. And then you
hmm
were like, make sure you download the episodes. And I was like, all right. So, uh, because I thought I didn't know exactly what they were gonna be, and
Uh-huh.
so like once I got like I don't know 2 minutes into the first one, I was like, oh, this is so my shit right here because it just took me back to the Sega CD. Like
hmm
I loved those games on that Sega CD so fuck, and I'm not talking about, like the cliffhanger or the ones that like, they just use like clips every now and again. I'm talking about like the full on FMV way before their fucking time, like Night Trap and Sewer Shark and Tomcat
Yeah.
Alley.
Yeah.
It took me so back to those games.
hmm
Where this isn't necessarily that because those games, the whole thing was the FMV stuff, and you interacted in a weird way or a different way with each one.
hmm
And what you did, whether you basically they were quick time events, and whether you succeeded or failed determined what the next clip you got was.
hmm
So this I felt very much like was the kind of the evolution of that. Um, or at least that's the way I felt about it. And like I was so into it. I was like, this is so dope. And like I love like how like it's genius in that the episodes don't give you more Sean Ashmore. They flesh out side characters and show you things that are going on while Jack is doing his shit, right?
hmm
And how the different people are being affected by what he's done or what he's doing. Like
Right.
I thought it was great. Like
Right.
I really enjoyed it, but it definitely brought me back to the hours I put on the Sega CD playing Tomcat Alley and Midnight Raiders and all that type of stuff.
So yeah, so the live action so well the live action video works really really well because they did motion capture for all the actors and the characters in the game. So all everybody looks like they do
Yes.
from the game in real life,
Yep.
IRL.
Yep.
And they got like I mean they got, you know, I mean not like AAA, you know, Tom Cruise people, but I mean they got Lance Reddick, they got Sean
Hmm.
Ashmore, they got Dominic Monaghan. Like they got people who are like, you know, they're actors with a
They were
capital
known
A.
people. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And there's like some other folks who are clearly like also, you know, they're actors and actresses or whatever. Um, but they really wanted these like live action TV elements that would. So I guess initially in 2016 they would basically like because you were hooked up onto the internet, the the videos would play sort of automatically through the internet after you finished an episode. You wouldn't have to download
Mm,
them. But now because thankfully
okay,
we
that I don't think I would have liked as much.
yeah, thankfully because we rolled that back, you know, Xbox or Microsoft rolled that back. You have to now
Mm,
manually download the pack in order to have them inserted into the game. Um, but they wanted to show what Monarch was doing behind the scenes
right.
while Jack was trying to save this time loop. You know, after you're done playing your part in the thing, they want to show you like, so you know, what's his face? So Aidan Gillen, who plays, and you don't watch, you didn't watch Game of Thrones, but he played a
Mm.
big character in Game of Thrones, which was great. But the guy Paul Serene, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
what he's planning and doing, and like how like basically he's getting like time sickness and like
Yeah.
falling apart, which is so cool. Um, and they wanted to show you like the behind the scenes and a lot of the Lance Reddick stuff really, you know, his Martin Hatch character really
Yes.
comes into play here, which is he's
Oh,
really
he was
good.
so good.
So I really love that. And I don't think I took time to explain what the plot of
Yeah, I was
Quantum
gonna
Break.
say, like,
Yeah, we're just talking about the game.
we
Okay,
just
so
went right into the show.
yeah,
Like,
so I have like a little summary here that I had written up here. So it revolves around Jack Joyce, who becomes involved in a time travel experiment gone wrong. The story begins when Jack's childhood friend Paul Serene invites him to witness a groundbreaking experiment at Riverport University. Riverport University, I think in the game, it's sort of like a version of what, Massachusetts, right? I want to
Yeah,
say.
felt
It's
like
not Pacific Northwest like Alan Wake, but it's like I think it's on the East Coast somewhere.
yeah.
Um, Anyways, the experiment designed to create a time machine goes disastrously wrong, causing time to fracture. Jack is caught in the event and gains the ability to manipulate time, including freezing, rewinding, and speeding up time. Paul, now the head, Paul Serene, who is his friend, played by Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, now is the head of a powerful corporation called Monarch Solutions, also gains similar time-based abilities, but uses them for his own game, manipulating time to reshape reality. He believes the world is doomed due to a time fracture that causes time to collapse, and he seeks to control it on his benefit. Seeks to control it for his benefit. So basically, a lot of Quantum Break is we made our own problems and we're trying to fix it, and there's two
Hmm.
different ideas on how to fix that kind of thing.
Right.
Um, so as Jack tries to prevent the collapse of time, he learns that Paul is attempting to create a new timeline where he holds the ultimate power. Throughout the game, Jack faces off against Monarch forces, uncovering a conspiracy surrounding the time machine, Monarch's true intentions, and the influence of time on the fabric of reality. The game includes choices that influence the narrative, with the player deciding how Jack feels with Paul and the consequences of their decisions. The story also intertwines the live action episodes, which we covered.
Mhm.
Um,
That's one to say. I was going to say also that was one thing that was pretty interesting
what's that?
was like uh, I had mentioned to Binky when I got to the first decision point or the second one. I was like,
Mhm.
it's pretty cool that the game once you make the decision and it kind of gives you little like glimpses as to what the repercussions are going to be from the decision that you make, and then it lets you pick like which direction you want to go.
Right, yeah.
And but then once you pick one, it shows you what your friends picked versus your pick, and then like
Yeah.
what most people picked versus what you picked, stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. And I was told Brandon it was interesting that he and I picked the same thing on the first one, but on the second one we went opposite directions.
Uh-huh.
And he's
Yeah.
like, I don't remember shit about that game, but it's crazy that it still knows which direction I picked. I was like,
Well, it's it's really cool. So there are these parts in this game between the acts that are called junctions. And it's where you take control of Paul Serene, who's the quote unquote bad guy. And yeah, you do have to
mhm,
choose between two binary, like a binary choice of like do it this way or do it the other way, and each have their own consequences. So what I thought was really cool, like so the game plays out like the game plays out. Like the main story is the main story,
mhm.
but depending on your choices, it will affect other characters in the world depending on what choice Paul makes. So in the first one, the first junction, you catch that girl who is Amy Fierro, who's like the protester at the
Mhm.
college who doesn't want the library to go. And you can either choose to use her for a PR stunt, or you could just like murk her and say like you kill her and then
Right.
she's like a lot of loose ends. So the first time I went through and I saved her, used her as a PR stunt, right? And then in Act Two, she's the one who kind of helps you get through sort of this warehouse area, and she's kind of guiding you on the radio to get through things because she survived. Now, if you choose to silence her, you actually end up getting Nick, the cab driver, in the warehouse section to walk you around. And he's like way more
Oh,
funny.
okay.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He's kind of an idiot and it changes the tone of the game very dramatically, I found. Uh, um, it doesn't affect the levels or where you go necessarily, but it definitely changes the dialogue and like the overall tone of some of the moments, which I thought
That's
was like
interesting. Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, so like there is an effect on the game, but the overall story is always going to be how it plays out.
Mhm.
They couldn't open themselves up to a gajillion endings. So um like that to me. So like right now I'm playing it through a second time and doing the other choices with Paul and seeing how it plays out differently, and it's really fun. It and I bumped the difficulty up too. Because I kept all my powers, like you kept all your upgrades. So like,
Oh, I was going to talk about that too, actually.
yeah, so like I thought that was a really great incentive for me to like get them to play a single player game again.
Yeah,
Like
for
I always
sure.
like a new game plus
Yeah,
situation, always.
absolutely. Yeah.
I
Oh my
think
God.
that's
Yeah.
like my favorite.
Like
Like
nothing feels better than like going back to a spot that you were stuck on and just absolutely fucking destroying it.
mm,
It's like,
yeah, like I do that with all the Resident Evils. Like I tend to like play through like on
mm-hmm.
like an easier difficulty, and then I when I beat the game, I do a new game plus, and
So
then yeah, blow
I
through it.
was, I was keeping up. I was kind of looking at, how we were. like where we were, in terms of our playthroughs and stuff.
Hmm.
And I was doing really good, and then I got to a point where I was like, man, the difficulty really ramped up here. Like, this is weird. I'm like, I'm getting my ass kicked. And then
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at our, because it shows like how many deaths that we have in the stats. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, you had died like, I don't know, 4 times. And I was on like 11. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like this dude's the quantum break whisperer or some shit. Like, what is happening here? And so, and so I was like, it was like days later. And I'm still like going through. I was like, man, this got way more difficult.
Uh-huh.
And like, not that it was hard, but just like I was like breezing through, and then all of a sudden, and I'm like, well, this game really like turns on you, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going back through my timeline, and I'm looking at like the chapters show you the highest difficulty completed.
Hmm.
At some point, my shit switched to hard for no reason. Like almost halfway through the game, like the first time you fight one of those, I don't know, in Call of Duty they'd be juggernauts, but the guy with the thing on his back, you
Yeah,
can only hit.
you just gotta sneak
That
behind him.
dude kicked my ass up, down, and sideways, dude, for like 2 days. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I got past it, and I've finished the next chapter, or whatever. And then for whatever reason, I was looking through the timeline and I was like, highest completion hard. I was like, no, it's not. And so then I couldn't figure out how to switch it back. I was so pissed. And I was like, I don't know if I can beat this fucking thing on hard. Like this was awful. And so I finally found a way to switch it back to easy or casual or whatever. Because
Uh-huh.
I play them on casual because I have to get done for the show. Like I don't have time to waste 2 days on a fucking sub boss fight for no reason. So I've tried to get done so I can be finished with the game so we can talk about it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, this thing went Dark Souls on me like out of nowhere, and I was like, all right, I guess. It's like I'll just
That
watch a YouTube video because I don't know that I can finish this.
yeah, that's a Dark Souls boss right there. I mean,
I don't know what happened. Like
you
I
gotta.
didn't change it.
Did you eventually
Like
beat it though?
oh yeah, I did. Once I
Oh,
figured
okay.
out how to switch it back, but it was like 2 chapters later when I figured out how to switch it back
Oh, okay, got it, got it, got it, got it.
because I was struggling for
Yeah,
like a week there.
the combat can get like spike pretty fast. Like because of like how it's like short the game is, that these like these fight arenas that you always enter into is the sort of the combat
Hmm.
areas. Because the game is kind of broken out in, you have your like walk and talk moments, you have your like exploration platforming moments,
Hmm.
puzzly parts, and then you have your combat, and they're kind of broken out, you know,
Yeah,
pretty specifically.
yeah. There's some that's another thing I wanted to bring up a little bit,
Hmm.
but in this thing it was a direct correlation from Alan Wake because I felt the same way, where it's like it's jank isn't the right word, but
Hmm.
because these are polished games and they're very good games, but they want you to jump sometimes with Alan and with Jack, respectively, to where I'm like, sometimes the animations get kind of wonky, and I fell more times than I feel like I should have
Yeah,
because of a land animation, or they'll jump in a different direction than I pressed
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's not perfect. And like the biggest criticism, or one of the criticisms that come up quite frequently with Quantum Break, is the platforming sections where they say like, oh, well, they're not like super fleshed out enough, and they're just not like, they're a little like janky. Which I mean, I guess so. Like I think Remedy's games, I mean, are a little janky anyway. Like they're just a little, like they're just like a little not perfect when it comes to like
Hmm.
mobility. So
Right.
like I can't, like I get it. Like I do wish that like with the platforming stuff, like there was maybe more of it, or like I don't know, more puzzle stuff. Like I would totally love more of this game where they like fleshed out, like, had more like, I don't know, Nathan Drakey moments of
Yeah.
platforming or something. Like I could
Right.
totally get behind that.
Especially when the stuff where like the time the time lines are like converging, and like the
Uh-huh.
train is crashing through
It's
like
pretty cool.
the building, or
Hmm.
like yeah, the bridge is falling, the boat's coming through the bridge and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Like
like
I
there's
mean,
some really great set pieces for sure.
yeah, that would have would benefit from maybe like how tight the platforming in something like Uncharted is.
Yeah.
Instead of you know what I mean? Like, how much fun would it be to take Nathan Drake and have to traverse a ship crashing through the bridge you're on? Like, how dope would that look? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and I think like I can see it in like I know why they just couldn't do that because this game is
Hmm.
so ambitious. Like they try like
Yeah, big
they
time.
clearly
Yeah, big
like
time.
everything probably cost so much money and like the all the motion capture and like how much like went into this game to
Right.
make it look the way it does. And like I said to you, only 100 people like developed this game, which I think is
That's
in
insane.
absolutely nuts because like the game does to this day like have some performance issues. It there's some stuttering. It crashed on me like one time.
Me too. I'm so
Like
glad I played it on the Series X instead
yeah,
of trying to play it on the suitcase Xbox One. Like,
I
I
know.
can't even imagine. Like,
Like well, how like janky or like how
yeah,
like
or
it
like the
grinds.
load times, or
Yeah.
like, yeah, how, yeah, it probably crashed a lot. Shit,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, but even like even now though, like the game looks pretty impressive. Like I like
yeah,
there are
yep.
some moments where I'm like, geez, like it just looks so good, you know?
Hmm.
And then like there'll be a cutscene, and then like the people are like not looking at each other the right way, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's 2016. Like that Assassin's Creed, early Assassin's
Right,
Creed, Uncanny
right,
Valley
yeah,
moment where the facial animations just don't sync up right, and you're like, oh my
right.
God. But you know, like whatever, it's all good. Um, and I think like so I think like for me like the game Quantum Break's like really fun to play. The combat's great. Like right, like they took like they went back from like instead of doing Alan Wake, they kind of went back to more Max Payne stuff with like time slowing down where
Hmm.
you shoot the dude, the last dude in the room, and like it shows them getting
Oh, the
shot.
bullet
Like
time, yeah.
yeah, bullet time. And then you have these like really great like superpowers where you can like shield yourself, zip around super fast. You
Hmm.
can use this like I don't know kinetic like blast thing. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like when I used to play Infamous. Like it kind of like I had
Yes.
that feeling of like superpowers again, which is just it's really nice to like be able to manipulate the combat arenas the way you want them to and
Right.
like things get really hairy towards the end, but I do feel like the game gives you so many options to stay
Well, yeah.
alive
Yes.
that I don't always feel like sometimes I'll die and I'll be like that was kind of cheap, but I always feel like I can always get out of a bad situation and like if I think about it real fast, like instead of just crouching
Hmm.
and shooting, right?
Right.
So,
But I will say, yeah, I mean that, and that's one of my favorite things when you have a game like this, or a game like, like Infamous, where, there are powers, but that's like, they're and they are extremely useful, but they also complement the gunplay, and the gunplay is just as good.
yeah.
And I think this game really like towed that line so well, where it's like, there are guns and they're fun to use, but you also have powers. And so, like, how you can like freeze a dude and then just fucking unload on him with an LMG or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, instead of just freezing him and running, or just freezing him and him being frozen and that being it, that's how you took that guy out. It's like, no, you can block all his bullets and then step outside the bubble and just fucking shoot him in the face, or like, freeze a guy, shoot him, and then when he comes back from being frozen, he drops dead. That stuff's cool. Like, the way,
Hmm.
because I think the other thing, though, as a part of that is, man, it was hard for me to get on board with this kid coming back, to see his friend, and just knowing how LMGs work and shit. Like, and they kind of mention,
Ye
they're like, well, he's like, oh, I've held a gun before. I got in a little
So
trouble in high school, and I'm like, well, that doesn't mean you know how to use
yeah,
an M60. Like,
I read a good majority of the Quantum Break book.
hmm.
Kind of fell off it towards the end because it kind of just is more of the same, like how the game kind of ends. But there are some interesting tidbits in there, and one of them is that it kind of shows you like Jack Joyce when he's younger and how he's involved with some sort of like crime situation. So you're like, oh, okay, I guess. Like I think it's a little
Like,
far-fetched to say he knows how to like handle a carbine, but like he was
Right.
clearly involved with using guns
Yeah.
for some part of his life until he ran away to like Taiwan or whatever the hell he did. And
Oh,
like
okay.
uh like there is like they tried. But I mean it is a little like yeah, how do you pick up like this like assault SMG and just like it's a little silly.
Because
But yeah.
I always go back to Toy Soldiers. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
When Will Wheaton gets the machine gun, they finally like take one of the terrorists down and get his gun.
Yeah.
And then Will Wheaton runs out on the steps and starts pulling the trigger, and
Uh-huh.
it just kicks immediately directly up into the air, and they just
Yeah.
like murk him. Like, yeah, that's what I always think of in these games. Where it's like, wow, this guy's a murder machine.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, same thing with like Tomb Raider, right? Laura Croft, especially like the newer ones where she's younger, and I'm like, man, she is just really okay with murder. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, no one's like throwing up after they kill their like
right?
like a person. It's yeah, it's a little it's the same thing with like Uncharted 2 where you're just like a mass
Yeah,
murderer
right.
and there's also like gotta save my wife.
Right.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. What can I say?
Video games.
Video games be video gaming. It's sort of hard to like make it like the immersion every once in a while. You're like, all right.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think what's great about the combat is that it still feels pretty snappy, and I also like
Hmm.
that it just gives you a lot of creative options. Like you can just like if you want, you can just crouch and shoot out. I mean, the AI is very aggressive in that it will come behind
Oh
you
yeah.
and throw grenades all the time and get you out of cover.
Well,
But
yeah,
like,
it's like yeah, there's no sneak option.
no,
Like you'll be literally behind cover and they'll be like, "It's Joyce." I'm like,
yeah,
"Bitch, there's no way you saw me." Like
you just see his
I'm
dumb
behind a
little
shipping container for Christ's sake.
see his little blonde hair sticking out.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's very much
the Iceman.
action focused. Is that Iceman?
Got him. I also forgot to mention that the live action TV elements were directed by Ben Katai. Do you know Ben Katai?
Don't not by name.
Yeah, because you wouldn't really, because he did 30 Days of Night, Dark Days. He did a lot of direct to
Oh,
video.
okay, yeah, yeah.
He did
Oh,
a
I
lot of
love
like
that
direct
movie.
to video horror stuff, which I thought was
You
interesting.
telling me there's a 30 Days of Night sequel and Catherine Isabel's in it? Sign me the fuck up, buddy. Like I'm in.
Well, yeah, so he did yes, he did the live action stuff. But which makes kind of sense because I feel like you watch the live action stuff and you're like this kind of feels like direct to DVD quality type
Yeah,
filming.
well,
It almost
yeah, or
it all
TV show. Yeah.
yeah, it also like the story as a whole kind of reminded me of like early J.J. Abrams stuff too.
Mm, yeah, yeah, for
Like that
sure.
J.J. Abrams of
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
time
There would have been so
manipulation.
much lens flare, like,
So many lens flares, bruh.
oh, in the movie. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's right. It's my boy JJ. uh so I think what's really great too about this game, and I kind of mentioned it before, is when you get to Act 5, you really see how the game's narrative kind of comes full circle, and it's just sort of the way that the game is set up, just like the time machine thing as a circle. Like you just realize that you basically like are starting right at the beginning again, but you're just
Yeah.
from a different point of view, and you can see like when you play it again too, that opening university level, and like you see dudes getting shot,
Hmm.
and like all these things are happening. You're like, oh, that's just me later.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
so like it's really cool to go back to that and see it, and I think that like the ending is uh I think that the final boss fight is very silly and kind of annoying, but
It was very annoying.
it's
Yeah.
it's 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 annoying until you figure it out, and then it's just
Right.
really easy, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Exactly. But I was because I had to look it up. Honestly, I was like, what the fuck does it want me to do?
yeah,
Because
it's really obnoxious because it doesn't really telegraph exactly what you're supposed to
and
do.
you've also never seen that in the game at this point. Like
Yeah,
at no point was there red shit everywhere for no reason, and you're
you
just
just
like,
nuking the arena.
what am I supposed to do?
Uh, but I think it's too cool too that the way the game ends, that it doesn't really put a bow on everything, and you're kind of left with Jack Joyce being like is he gonna be good? Is he gonna be bad? And they kind of present you
Yeah,
with
it was weird to me,
they kind of
the
present
ending.
you with a what happens with Paul when he has like the junction choices, and it kind of just like
Hmm.
shows you like two different ways that he can go. And uh, I mean, it's been out for a while. I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, just play
Yeah, I'm
it.
not gonna spoil it either,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think like the way it ends is really interesting in that, um, you
But I
know,
also wondered
Mhm.
if it ended the way it did because of the choices that I made. But you're saying like that essentially the story always plays out the way
Yeah,
it
essentially
does.
the story is always going to end the same way, where it
Okay.
puts
Because
Jack
because
Joyce in the.
you can certainly choose, to kind of paint Paul as the villain or Martin.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't sure if that specifically was just the choices I made or if because I the reason that I was and I love listen, I love me some Lance Hawks. Commander Zavala, I'm 10 toes down for the Vanguard in
Hmm.
Destiny, and so obviously I wanted to think Lance was the good guy, but I was reading some emails on some computers, and I was just like, wait a minute, like,
They got bad security at these places, man. Everybody's got their emails
man, they
open.
do. Ugh. Also,
Uh,
God, I almost wanted to replay it just to see if I could fucking kill the IT dick like way before because he ended up being a main character in the show and in my game, and I was just like, I fucking hate this guy. I
yeah,
hate him.
he's a little weenie. Definitely a
Yeah,
big.
I
He's like
hated that
a
dude,
little weenie. Yeah, don't like
and I
that
was
guy.
concerned that my choices made him a bigger part in my game. But if that's
No,
not the case,
the
then
live action TV stuff is all the same. So,
okay, well then never
yeah.
mind. Yeah, unfortunately, I had to
Yeah.
endure that bitch.
He's a bitch. Um, but I think like so the game ended up selling like really well. Like the pre-orders were really great. The game ended up selling really, really well. And like there's no reason that they wouldn't bring it back. And apparently the IP is still active.
Oh,
So
after Alan Wake 2?
yeah, I don't know. But I mean like I mean either that or they do like a remaster. They'll probably end up doing a remaster. But
Yeah.
like it sold really well, and there's actually like even considering sort of some of the lukewarm reviews, like it sold well, so they're just like sitting on it still. So there's a possibility that we could get Quantum Break 2 Electric Boogaloo, um, which would be cool to see like what the canonical choice is for
Yeah.
Jack if he becomes like evil corporate dude or if he
Oh shit, they could do a Colony Wars
yeah, they could do Colony Wars. Yeah.
where it's like, you play as the rebel kind of to use Star Wars terms.
Yeah, yeah.
You play as the rebels in the first game against the Empire, and
Mm-hmm.
then you win, and then in Colony Wars 2, after beating the Empire, the rebels go full on fucking corrupt, and you play as a rogue group of the former Empire against the rebels. So like they could make Jack the big bad in part two, and like we could play a new character or
I mean,
something.
that'd be rad. I mean, because I feel like Paul, like his intentions were good, and like he just kind of got out of hand, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
think the way his character, like Paul Serene's character, is like he was really like pumped to work with Jack's brother Will and make this cool time thing, and then like it got out of hand, and then he got like a little. He was so compulsive and like uh specific, or he's so compulsive and neurotic that he kind of made himself the villain. And I feel like they could play that same story out again with Jack, make maybe a little differently, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's very like he had the same experience. Um, I don't know. It's cool. I would love to see
Oh,
them do a Quantum Break 2.
we could play as Will. Have it, and if Jack goes like full on evil, you could be Will and have to like come back and keep that from happening or something. There's
Oh yeah, or they could like revisit maybe bringing Beth back somehow.
Yeah, because man, boy, that
Could
yeah, chapter 5 gets dark.
Yeah, because I mean, she's the only one who can inflict a lot of violence. So I feel
Hmm.
like she'd be a good one to,
That's true. Yeah, actually.
come back somehow. And, she like that would be kind of cool too if she,
Well, yeah, especially like the whole like visiting her younger self thing in
uh-huh.
the journal it goes into. What if? Yeah, what if? Oh man, we got to get we got to get Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead on this. Like, just show them this game and then
Yeah,
like let them write a sequel.
they probably played it.
They
But
probably did, honestly.
I bet you Microsoft has just got the fucking iron grip on this IP.
No, for sure,
And they're just
absolutely.
like, we're gonna wait and do something with this. Um,
Or we're not,
or we're
and
not because we're
fuck you
Microsoft.
guys for
Yeah,
wanting more of
you
it.
don't, yeah, we got rid of Alan Wake, so what do we
Yeah.
need? Um, so it ties together to Alan Wake a little bit, but not a lot, this
Mhm.
game. So what we do know is that Quantum Break takes place in the same universe, world, timeline as Alan Wake. I mean, it's there. There's Night Springs is on TV. Alan's
Mhm.
book is
Yeah.
out and about in several places in the game.
Yep.
Um, there's an Alan Wake standee.
Yes, there is.
You see Alan Wake on TV being interviewed. So, there are some like meta Alan Wake things where you can see somebody playing Alan Wake on a computer screen, and then there's like on the chalkboard
I was
in the
gonna say the
yeah,
chalkboard was
there's
like
like the breakdown of the story, like
right.
so
That was
like
pretty cool.
yeah, it's cool, but like it also like kind of breaks a little bit, but it's definitely like they take place in the same exact universe.
Hmm.
And even Paul, when you first meet him, he's wearing a t-shirt
Yep.
that is in that is a cover band of the Nordic Viking dudes band who are in Alan Wake.
Yep. Yep.
So like it's
That was so cool.
yeah, that's like really fun to like see. When I saw that, I was like, wait a minute.
Same. Yeah. It's
So
like
like that was like stuff like that is really great. Little winks and nods. Control, as you will see, plays more into connecting to Alan Wake and all that
mm,
stuff.
nice.
Yeah, it's a little more direct with all that stuff.
Which
So,
and I yeah, and I'm certainly I feel like I'm certainly gonna pick up on that stuff now because of the show
hmm
versus when like I said, I got it. Um, a friend of mine buys everything the minute it comes out
yeah.
and then like plays it and then he's immediately done with it. And
Uh-huh.
so he bought Control. That's what took me away from Control. He bought Control and uh the Jedi, what's the first one? Fallen Order? Is that the first one?
He, Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order? Fallen Order is the
So
first one.
Fallen
Yeah.
Order is the first one.
Yeah.
So he bought both of those.
hmm
And so he finished Control. And he's like, "Hey, you want this for like $30?" And I was like, "Sure." And then like a couple of days later or a week later, he's like, "You want this one too?" And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Just cash at me 50." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got both of those at the same time. And obviously I got more into the Star Wars than I did I played Control, but had I known, again that it was who Remedy was and what
Yeah,
what the game was really, I I think I would have stuck with it probably over Star Wars, but
well, yeah, but it is kind of wild because Control definitely benefits from a little more outside information when you play it.
mm,
Because it's like when you first walk in there, it's very like, what is this?
oh yeah, that's where I'm
Like
at. Yeah.
like the agency, you're like, what is this agency? Like this is really wild.
It seems really easy for me to have just walked in here and been like, "Well, I'm the new director," and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
thank God,
Um
finally,
yeah.
no questions asked."
Yeah, it gets a little yeah, it's yeah, we're going to talk about Control. It's a great
Mhm.
game. I think it takes the best elements of Quantum Break and Alan Wake and puts them together. Like the combat's a lot more snappy, the exploration's a lot more fun. There's just like I don't know, it's just like a lot more fun of a game I feel like to play, but um yeah, I'm really excited to kind of go into Control now with all this other nonsense in my brain.
Exactly. Yep.
And then we walk into Alan Wake 2, which is
Oh,
those two games are,
I'm
they
so
are.
ready for that.
I know it's gonna be great because you're just gonna walk into it with all this added
Yes.
information
Right. Yeah.
about these games, and you're like, oh my God. And Remedy confirmed they're working on Control 2, so that's great.
That's true. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Um, they're still working on those Max Payne remasters, so I don't know if they're gonna like Max Payne's gonna somehow like they're gonna make nods that it takes place in the same universe too. We'll
It
see.
depends on how much. they remaster. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
sometimes they just slap a coat of paint on it, and sometimes they act like these things become like actually somewhat different
Yeah.
experiences.
I mean, it would just, I mean, honestly, like if there was just a way to play those two games without having to put the original
I was
Xbox
gonna
disc
say, yeah,
in my.
I gotta hook up some stuff.
No, like it's backward. The first one and two are backwards compatible with the
Yeah,
Series
but
X.
the first one I only have on PS2, so I'm gonna play it on PS2 when we do it. And then the
Um,
second one I do have on Xbox. But
no, okay. Yeah.
or I may just try to track down a cheap copy of the first one on Xbox. We'll see.
All right. Yeah. But I mean, like, it would be nice to like play it on the Switch or something, like,
Mm-hmm.
up-resed,
Right, right.
all that stuff. But whatever. Remedy do what Remedy do. And then they have that weird live action control game, but I don't know what to think about. I think that's gonna get canceled at this point. Who knows?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Um, because everyone's dropping the live action stuff or the live
Right.
service stuff.
Games as a service, yeah.
Um, so that's it, man. I think that's it. I think Quantum Break, I've really ended up just really loving it. Like I loved it. Like unabashedly at the end of it, just loved the experience. Like it's definitely like I think it's still a mixed bag of an experience, but like I really love the heart of it. I love how weird it is. I love everything they tried to do with it. Um, and I just enjoyed this game from start to finish, and now I'm replaying it again. I just got to Act 3. So
Oh my
like
God.
yeah, so like I'm having like fun like going back to it and experiencing the game like with the story completely in my head of what's going on. It's even more enjoyable. So like I highly recommend people play it if you want like a second time just to get a good sense of like more so of like you just don't feel as lost in like what's
Yeah,
going on.
right.
But yeah, I loved it, man. 100%.
Yeah, same. I had a blast. Yeah, I'm so glad I played this. Like I wish I'd have played it in 2016 to be honest, because I would have been, shouting from the rooftops on the internet ever since. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I keep going back to Spec Ops where it's like I honestly I just thought it would be okay. And then I play it, I'm like, gee, this is fucking great.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
was so into this. Like I was
Hmm.
looking forward to getting up at 4 a.m. to play the next part. Like
Yeah, quality narrative driven video games can really uh they can blind you to some other things that are not so
mm-hmm,
great about the game. I think Remedy, like
100%.
their heart's in the place where they want you to have an experience and experience characters and story, with a little jank along the way, and I think that's fine. Like
Right.
and I
Yeah.
think, and like I said, I think these years later, like the overbearing Microsoftness of Quantum Break is kind of diluted, so you don't feel like
Right.
you're being like you just don't feel like this whole experience is being shoved down your throat a certain
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So I
Right. Well,
think,
yeah, yeah. They're like, well, it's out there. If people want to play it, it's there. So
hmm
it's not. There's certainly no push. There's no advertisement that they're not like it's on Game Pass. They don't like drop Game Pass ads all the time with Quantum Break. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, not like Call of Duty style. Yeah, it's
you're right.
uh
You're not gonna boot up the Xbox and be immediately greeted with a big like splash that says "Avowed is now on game." They're not gonna do that with Quantum Break, right? I think they should, but that's just me. Like, but
I know,
it's there.
money,
Everybody should
man.
play it. Yeah, yeah. The new hotness.
Yeah, the new hotness. I gotta get around to playing Avowed anyway. But I'm just gonna wait until they put it on a real disc.
Yep.
Hopefully, I don't know if they are, but we'll see. That you could buy $100 case with a code inside if you wanted to, which is
Right.
I
Yeah.
thought the most.
I did that.
I think that shit's so stupid. It makes me
Well, I didn't
mad.
know that's what I was getting when I pre-ordered the physical on PUBG.
Oh, buddy, I'm sorry.
I didn't know. So I in the mail shows up this cardboard fucking case. I'm like, the fuck is this? And then I open it and I was like, this feels really light. And then I
Yeah.
open it and there's just a code in there. And I was like,
It's
I
so
could have
depressing.
just bought this like days ago for
Yeah.
the same price and just downloaded it.
Makes you want to like commit acts of violence when that
It
happens.
does.
It's like, what did I spend like this money on just
Right.
tonight? I spent it on an idea, not even a
I was
game.
gonna say, yeah. I paid $40 for a piece of cardboard. Like,
So whack, dude. I cannot. Because like I even had to like double check like the new Doom game. Like I'm really
mhm.
excited to get the physical just disc
Yeah,
of that.
hell yeah.
And I looked at like, and then like I got a little worried because they're like, if you get the game, you get 3 days early, and I'm like,
Mm.
that doesn't
That
usually
doesn't go for physical. That's
yeah,
typically,
a digital
digital
thing.
for sure.
But the disc is in there if you buy it. So
Okay.
that's what it says. I with Avowed, I was like really pumped about Avowed because I saw the steel case and I was like, the steel case looks great. Like I really want this. And then I like
Hmm.
looked at like the details. It was like includes download code and no disc. I was like,
Yep.
fuck this. Fuck this.
I
I
will
hate
say,
when
like,
hate it.
that's so not my area of interest. Like,
Right.
I had no interest in the game whatsoever, but
Yep.
that artwork is so fucking cool. Like that skeleton with like the flowers on the back of his
Yeah,
sword and on
buddy.
his head and shit like that. Like that looks so good.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
mean,
maybe I'll just buy a poster. Like, I don't need to play the game because.
I want to play it. I know a lot of people are kind of lukewarm on it because they're just like, oh, well, it's just basically Skyrim again or
Hmm.
whatever. And like, for me, like I really like Obsidian, even though it's like not even the same people that started that company, but they also did like Outer Worlds, which another game people shit on, and I liked Outer Worlds. I thought it was a totally enjoyable experience. So, like, I'll get this one too and probably enjoy it for what it is. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna spend $70 on it, but
Right.
I'll wait till it's like $40 or something like that. Like I'll play it. Um, people mad you can pick pronouns if you want, all that stuff. And then there's like people mad you gotta that
Oh,
it's
really? I didn't know that.
yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff people are mad about it for, and then also that it's just sort of like a pretty like
The only
standard fantasy
I was
situation.
gonna say that. Like that's the only thing that I've seen about it was somebody said it looked like a 360 game or something,
That's
and
fine with
then
me.
yeah, I'm saying what's wrong with that? And then and
Yeah.
then I saw an article or a blurb or something that said that it was the highest selling game currently, and despite it being day one Game Pass. So tell me
Uh-huh.
again how Game Pass is ruining the market or some shit like that.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't it seems like it's done fine for itself and
Yeah,
at the end of the day that's all they're going to look at. But
right.
um yeah, I mean whatever. Like I don't know, like the game looks interesting to me, so I
Hmm.
would like to give it a shot and I like the developers. So like I
Great.
assume
Well, yeah.
at the least I'll have an experience that I'm like is cozy, but maybe not like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Like it doesn't have to be
Hmm.
like highly immersive and like groundbreaking. Like it's fine.
Yeah. Everything
It'll be
doesn't have to
fine.
be the best thing you've ever
That's right,
played,
buddy.
watched,
It does
etc.
yeah, you're like we've ruined our dopamine receptors
Sometimes
to be
sometimes
like
things can just be good, and that's
yeah, they can
fine.
be okay.
Like,
Things can be okay. We can enjoy okay things. It's fine, like I'm excited for that Doom game, which I think will be pretty different than most Doom games, but
yeah, it has. I think so too.
yeah,
But
it's got that you got a shield you can fucking throw. That's so good.
you know,
Looks
am I
rad.
gonna prefer 2016 and then
Yeah.
the other one? Probably, but I'm
Hmm.
still gonna play it because it's fucking Doom, and I love Doom. So.
You know what? You think at the end of the day, I'm just gonna prefer Doom 2. So
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I mean, the first Doom I really put any time into was Doom 3, and I fucking love that game.
Doom 3 is so
I know
great.
people
Doom
don't, but I love it.
Doom 3 is so good, and even though the shotgun is whack, like the horror survival stuff in
Yeah,
there is just so much fun. And at the end, you go right to hell, and it's so crazy.
yeah, great
That
game.
game's good. Yeah.
And
Uh,
my Walmart sold it to me like 3 days early on accident. So
hey, there
and
you
I was
go.
I
Nice.
was on the Xbox and getting messages from people like, "How do you already have it?" I was
You're
like,
like,
"Hey, man,
yeah, man,
I,
you got to get this
I
Walmart out
know
here in
I got a guy.
Alabama.
I got a guy." You know what I mean? Like Sam Walton, baby.
Get me up. I think that's gonna do it
Yeah.
for our episode.
This
Mitch,
one's
thank you
yeah,
so
man.
much for talking Quantum Break.
Absolutely. This one's for Nadia,
This one's for Nadia. Yeah, she
who
she
always complains that we take an hour to get into the subject matter.
listen, we do what we do, but I think as we go on with the Remedy games, there's just so much to talk about. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, this
uh
was good. This was a good one. I
this
like
is a
this
good
was
one.
fun.
I think we talked a good we talked like an hour of Quantum Break, which is great.
Yeah, which is the point.
Which is the point of the whole thing.
Also, Ben Foster, by the way. I just
Ben
remembered.
Foster, the actor?
Ben Foster played Angel in X3.
Oh, right. Love Ben Foster.
Me too, man.
He's
That dude,
such
I don't
a
know. I need
what's
to
he
look what he's
doing?
been doing lately because at one time I was like, this guy's like, he's the new guy. Like, he's it.
Yeah. He
Like,
probably yeah, I don't know what happened. He didn't
like
hang out
Alpha
with
Dog era and
yeah.
like, yeah, like Lone Survivor.
I
And
liked Pandemonium.
yeah, yeah. He was like the hotness for a while
Yeah.
there.
He just didn't go to a Diddy party, I guess. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's probably it. Good for him.
Good for him. Mitch, you
Great
wanna you
actor.
wanna you wanna close out with anyone to the good people?
Uh, hello, good people. Just in case you're wondering, yes, I am still playing Destiny. I brought that up when we talked about the shorter episode. Uh, but no, play Quantum Break. You don't have to play Destiny every day like I do, but you should. And Quantum Break is great. And I don't know, I always enjoy coming on the show or talking to my friend Jesse. And thank all of you for listening to it. I don't know why you do, but we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I am not Chris Hansen.
And he is not to catch, we're not catching any predators today,
Mm-mm. I come
folks.
closer to being a movie predator, like
There you
from the
go.
movie Predator, than
Oh,
I do
okay. Yeah.
a predator that would be on that show.
And I'm Danny Glover in two. We
Oh
should do
God,
a Predator. We should do a Predator 2.
I'm so good under pressure.
We
Like
should do Predator 2 podcast.
we should do that.
It's a overlooked movie. It's weird. It's a
Man,
weird one.
people are like so excited about that new one because it's like, oh, the aliens like are in different time periods. I'm like, bitch, did you not watch part two? Like that's fucking the last 10 minutes of part two.
Yeah,
Like
man.
that's what it is.
It's not a
Like,
bad
what are you talking about?
it's not a great movie, but I think we need to talk about it maybe.
Certainly, everybody
Well,
should talk about
yeah,
it.
maybe.
I think it's a great movie.
We'll keep that in the chamber. Maybe we'll think about
We could
that.
play Predator Concrete Jungle, and then
Oh,
uh-huh,
there you go. Now you
and
thinking.
then
Now you
we could also
diversifying
talk
our
about
bonds.
Predator movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could get Chris Hansen could come on and
Chris
guest.
Hansen can come on. He probably likes Predator movies too.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
Man, what an episode that would be.
Yeah. We always
We'll
end up
make
talking about Chris
we'll,
Hansen
we'll
somehow.
make him play it. We'll make him play the game, and then
And we'll make him
we can.
read messages people sent minors to the
Yeah,
people
right.
that sent them,
Exactly.
which is my
Yeah.
always my favorite thing to
Yes.
do.
Oh,
It's so
absolutely.
embarrassing
Yeah.
for these
Oh,
people.
yeah. I know. Oh, it's so good.
What did you mean you wanted to rail her from behind? What is that? What does that mean? Can you explain that to me? And the
I
guy's just
figured
like, "What?"
I love I love how they try to talk about it like he's no, I was
I was just trying to we're gonna make cupcakes
I thought
and
that's how kids talked about just hanging out and playing video games. I didn't. I was a rail gun. Is that not what that is? Like,
Fortnite,
yeah,
something.
yeah.
What?
Isn't there a rail gun in Fortnite and you shoot people in the back? I don't know.
Nah, man, Quake Arena, let's go. Thank you everyone for listening.
Oh
I'm
God, I thought this was like I thought we already ended.
Nah, buddy. We still
Oh,
going. We're
all that
live.
staying in, huh? All
Yeah, Chris
right.
Hansen, we talking. Uh, thank you everyone. Next month we will talk Control. And until then, stay up, keep an eye on the
Sure.
streets. Yeah, yeah.